Today, a short story long on how I learned to actually give an apology and why. Michael McLean, NoBullBook.com, and also immigration is now open for a few days for my September paper and ink newsletter, the Michael McLean World Building Letter. You can subscribe at badassletter.com. Immigration membership is open for the next few days, and then you'll be locked out again. If you're one of those dumb bunnies that missed out on the first August edition of my newsletter, you can correct that mistake by subscribing to my monthly newsletter at badassletter.com right now. I'll send you a free t-shirt, a free copy of my old book. You'll be in our locker room. There'll be all kinds of different things that are part of the $97 membership. Take care of that today. Immigration into my walled newsletter garden is now open. So, three parts of any sincere badass apology. First, a story. 4 years ago, when my daughter Emery was 5 years old, we were having our breakfast together as normal. I had had my morning walk, my 15,000 steps, and I had completed my 60-minute money suck writing time. So I did my road work for an hour, and I did my what I call Operation Money Suck, my copywriting, my advertising for an hour. And then it's always time for me to drive Emery to school, which is the highlight of my day. So she was sitting up at the island in the kitchen like she does for breakfast, and she was talking to Mummy, and she was just having her usual time. And just before we were about to leave, and she was just finishing up eating, and I kind of forget, but I said something to her, and I didn't mean to, and it doesn't make any difference whether I meant to, but I said something that hurt her feelings and upset her. And I'll never forget it, because it didn't matter that it was a misunderstanding. It didn't matter that my intention was not to ever do something like that. But I had hurt her feelings with something I said. And I'll never forget, she's just 5 years old. And anyway, she went to school. And I'll never forget how I went back, I drove then to the office and the mastermind house, and I started to do my reading and stuff and do some more copywriting. And I'll never forget how bad I felt. I felt bad on the way in, and I dropped her off, and then I tried to go to the house and read. And I just felt like the worst guy in the world. Here I was, a husband and father, a relatively new father. She's only 5 years old. She and Krista, the two most important people in my world. And here I had hurt the feelings of my daughter. And it just, we're like this. We're like best friends, Emery and I. And it just ate at me. It just made me physically sick to my stomach. And I couldn't think of anything else. And it was just a black cloud over me. I felt like I had a 200-pound piano on my back. And I just was so ashamed of what I had done. I was ashamed that I had embarrassed her or hurt her feelings. And I just had to make it right. And I was just dying. Because this is my baby girl. And I'll never forget, after about an hour of this nonsense, me punishing me and thinking about it and thinking it through and all this stuff, I actually got in the vehicle, and her school is only 5 minutes from where my mastermind, where I work each day. And I hopped in the vehicle and I drove over to the school, and I went up and I pulled her out of the class. I went and knocked on the classroom door, and I talked to her teacher, and they brought her. She came out. And I'll never forget, I got down and on my knee, That way I could look her in the eye. And I said to my daughter, I said, Daddy was wrong. And I am so sorry for upsetting you and hurting your feelings. And I had no intention of doing that, but I'm very sorry. And I then said, I can promise you, sweetie, it'll never, ever happen again. I'll never do that. I'll never say that. That will not happen again. And as soon as she heard the 3 parts of that, I was wrong, I'm sorry, and it won't happen again, she just jumped towards me, leapt towards me, put her arms around my neck, and gave me the biggest hug that she's ever given me in my life. So here I am outside the classroom, and I've got Emery wrapped around my neck, and I had like tears coming down my face, and which she thought was pretty funny. She doesn't see Daddy do that very often. And the biggest smile on her face. It was almost like a piano had been lifted off of her little back. And it showed how important it was for me to go and deal with that, for me to go and fix that mess that I created, for me to deal with that problem that I was responsible for, instead of waiting till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or, you know, saying it's not all my fault or I didn't do that. This goes back to I'm responsible for every result in my life. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't intend for that to happen. That doesn't make any difference. I made it happen. I made her feel bad. I embarrassed her. I made her feel sad. So that's my fault. So it's my job to fucking fix it. And it was my job to fix it then. And that was something I noticed I had grown as a person. I would have waited normally before I was a father. I would have waited to the end of the day. I would have let that fester. I would have let that loop stay open. I would have let that bother me and haunt me for the day. It would have bothered Emery. And it would have went all, and then at the end, well, I would have apologized. But it's also important that I apologized instantly, to not let the person suffer, not to let that linger, not to let that rat poison continue. In other words, it was my job, my responsibility as a man to fix that. Not just to say I'm sorry down the road, but to say I'm sorry fast. As soon as I recognized that I had really messed up. So that's something that I want to mention in today's video, is there's 3 parts to any sincere apology. Number 1, saying you're wrong, understanding that you're wrong, you made a mistake. We're all human. You made a mistake. I made a mistake and I accepted it immediately. Doesn't matter what your intention was. Your intention means nothing. Your feels mean nothing. I don't care about your feelings. Did you do wrong? Did you do harm? Did you embarrass? Did you hurt? And then it was my responsibility in that case, that example, to say I was sorry and to mean it. Not to say I'm sorry, but, or, I didn't mean to, not to give, an explanation. Not to drag it out and make it fucking worse. But to say I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. Sorry, period. I'm sorry, period. Not I'm sorry, but, I'm sorry, period. That's what I told my daughter. I'm sorry, period. Second part of any genuine apology is to the third part actually is to make sure that it never happens again. If humanly possible, it never happens again. You're going to make lots of mistakes again, but one of the secrets to building your own world is to make sure that you don't repeat mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes over and over again. You're going to make mistakes over and over again. That's never going to change. But compounding the same mistakes over and over again, to me, is, idiocy. Is just, I keep making the same mistakes. I keep getting up and playing defense. I keep, making the same errors. I don't get this. I don't get my rest. And I don't drink water, and I don't copyright, and I don't walk, and I don't invite my children to do things with me, and I don't schedule date nights, and I don't spend an hour a day on Operation Money Suck bringing me money. I don't act and behave like my number one wealth is health. I talk poorly to myself. I don't consider myself a fortunate or abundant person. I watch the news. I waste my time in swamps like social media and politics, and then expecting different results, expecting a different world without different thinking and behavior. It's the definition of insanity. Doing the same negative toxic things over with the same negative toxic people, with the same negative toxic inputs, but expecting a different output. That, my friend, is the definition of insanity. Want to change your life in any area? Change your environment. You want to change any part of your life? Change the inputs, and the outputs will be changed. Change those inputs from the news and social media and toxic people and alcohol and drugs and bad news and bad people and not moving to things that are positive. Walking in nature, reading, writing, date nights, spending time with your children, praying, writing in your journal every day, scheduling date nights, inviting your kids and your wife to spend time with you. Writing in your gratitude journal, telling your children and wife every day that you love them. Those are the kind of things, those are the inputs that'll give you a very different positive output. So I wanted to share that story with you and how fixing the problem is part of the apology. That was, and I made that a goal. I remember I shared that in a goal setting webinar. That year, one of my New Year's resolutions was whenever I did harm, whether it was something I said to my daughter in that case, or whether I said something hurtful, or however I screwed up, it doesn't make any difference. When I made a mistake, my goal since then has been to own it 100%, apologize for it, and fucking fix it. Then and there. And fix it fast. Like I did that day, hopping in my car and going over there to the school and pulling Emery out of class and getting down and saying, I'm genuinely sorry for that. I did not mean that, but that doesn't make any difference. I'm responsible for that. And it will not happen again. It will not happen again. So, and doing it fast. So when we screw up and we are in the wrong, it's very important to do those three things, but to do them fast. The second you realize that you are in the wrong, that you've done harm, especially to the people in our world that mean so much, our best friend, secret weapon queen, our daughters, our sons, our grandkids, our really good friends, our close employees. When we do unnecessary and harm and we upset somebody, or we're cruel or we're mean, whether you intended it or not, to own it, take responsibility for it, apologize for it, and fix it, and make sure they know it'll never, ever happen again. That's it for today. Make sure that before the sun sets, you hug your wife and children. I'm with my wife and my daughter later this morning, heading to my niece's wedding. It's a big deal because Emery is the flower girl, and we feel so incredibly blessed. She's 9 years old. We never thought she was going to be able to do this in her life, because we haven't had a wedding in our family since Krista and I got married 11, almost 12 years ago. So this is a blessing that came out of, we've known about this, her being the flower girl, for about 4 months. So this is a really big deal. And she gets to walk down the aisle today in the church. And Grandma and Grandpa are going to be there, my parents, which is really special for them to see not only their niece, but to see Emery, also to see their grandchild and Emery, their grandchild, walk down the aisle. It's just, for me, I'm just like, wow. 88 years old, turning 89, and they get to see their granddaughter get married to a terrific guy, and they get to see Emery and Emery be part of, man, that's the good stuff in life. That's the true gratitude that I have, is the people in our lives. So with that said, remember, immigration is open for my Michael McLean World Building Letter. If you want inside the walled garden and you don't want to be locked out like in September, like in August, I've got a brand new 22-page newsletter coming out in September. I just got finished writing it yesterday. Go to badassletter.com and sign up. It's $97 a month. It's pocket change for a badass millionaire. And you get a free t-shirt when you sign up. You get a free copy of my old book, which is my $55 million marketing blueprint for any business, not just the insurance business, any of that. Also, you get fax and mail access to me. You get to be part of our locker room, which is talk to anybody. It's not fake book. It's not big tech. It's something that Marc-Andre put together. It's called our Badass World Building Locker Room online, where we share videos and ideas. We share our victories, our losses, our challenges. That's worth hundreds of dollars just every month there. Just a place where we can go as kings, as fathers, as husbands. It's like our society. And it's our vaccination against the bitter and the jealous and the 99% quiet desperation crowd, where we're not targeted, we're not judged, and we understand what each other goes through each day as an entrepreneur and as a businessman. So the locker room is a pretty special part of the walled garden that I've created. So if you want inside the walled garden, I'm going to leave immigration open for a few days, and then it'll be closed. Soon as I send this newsletter that I just finished yesterday, soon as I have to send that to print in the States and be delivered, that's the cutoff. So then we cut it off after that. Each month when the newsletter goes to be printed, I have to cut off immigration, and I will. So if you want to be part of this, if you want to jump in, it's $97 a month. You can subscribe at badassletter.com. And like I said, if you're signing up for the first time, you'll get all those nice free bonuses. So get there, and it's a $97 investment in your money, your wealth, your marketing, your marriage, your time management, your kids, your grandkids, and your legacy. And man, start building that badass kingdom. Start building that badass world that your creator put you on this earth to take advantage of and to maximize over whatever tour of duty we're given. That's it. That's all. Badassletter.com. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that will change your life. Be relentless.